My friends, and welcome to the last part of this journey, because we are now getting to where I've been to now the present of this. Of course, by the title of the video, you know what we are going to be talking about today, and this is how I've gone through each denomination into finding my belief that Orthodoxy is the true way to Christ. But why do I believe this? We'll learn all about that today in this video. As always, I thank you for tuning in, and let's talk about my experiences with each denomination and why I believe Orthodoxy is the best out of all of them. So I start this journey, of course, reading the Bible. So I start this journey as many others do, right? I begin into the Protestant denomination. I have absolutely zero knowledge about Christianity, the religion, the faith itself, and the only things I have are the small amount of scriptures that I've started to read, the book of John, the book of Matthew, things of that nature. And of course, these words fill me with so much joy, learning more and more about Christ's life through the apostles, that I cling so heavily to it, because at this point in time, this is all I know. Of course, in that arrogance of mine, I reject Catholicism, and I know very little about Orthodoxy. As many Westerners and Americans, very few people even know that Orthodoxy is in of itself a denomination of Christ or any of the history about it. But I reject Catholicism pretty much straight away, because why one guy? This is my mindset, one guy, how is he gonna tell me what to do? I've got the Bible right here. I got 3 of them right here. How is he gonna tell me more? I can just read it for myself. So that's what I did for a long time. I started attending a Baptist church for, I was going every Wednesday and Sunday for about 3 weeks, so I believe I attended a few services, I will say. But something just felt off. Number one, I'm to offend any Protestants out there, but the music, the music, the worst, in my opinion, the worst part of a Protestant service is the cheesy music. It is just, it feels like such a cliche and so cheesy within it. I always struggled sitting through that, unfortunately. Something I really did love about Protestantism is they really dive deep into the Bible. However, when we go to church is about worship, and in my opinion, Protestantism, it just felt more like a study Bible class with, again, just, that music. I started this journey, I didn't come to the journey to get comfortable in one spot, right? I came to learn the true way of Christ, and so I continued on. And something that always bugged me was Catholicism has been around for, thousands of years, or a bit of 2,000. You had the church and then the Great Schism. They've been around for a very long time, to say the least. And all of the bashes against it, worshiping Worshipping Mary, the icons, oh my, idolatry, this is a sin, it never made sense, right? How could a church be going on for thousands of years if really what they're doing is purely heresy? And that just never set right with me to just brush it off that easily. And so I dived a little bit deeper. I started looking into a lot of debates on the theology, a lot of, Protestantism versus Catholicism. And slowly but surely, with each debate, it kind of pushed me away towards the Catholic faith. It seemed to make more sense. Except with NeedGod.net, man, that guy knows his stuff. He knows his Bible. That is an impressive guy. And this is something that is constantly brought up when Christians talk to, atheists, agnostics, things like that. And that is the fact. It's the funny thing, it's something I was so against before, it kind of clicked to me. Well, if there isn't an authority, then everyone's opinion is subjective. There is no absolute, because there is no authority through it. And what I mean by this, when we talk to atheists, we talk about how it's not so much that, your morals have to come from the Bible, that's one rebuttal, I don't need my morals from the book, I know between good and wrong. It's not about knowing what is good is wrong, the fact is, without that outside authority, your ideals, your ideology of what good is wrong is simply subjective, for you have no authority to back up why your beliefs are better than their beliefs, while they are more righteous, or you are more in the moral right path, if you will. It becomes all subjective. And this is the exact same issue that you will find in Protestantism. Now, of course, with Protestantism, there is so many different denominations. It is interpretation of the Bible, this is the right way, or no, these guys, they're not interpreting it right, this was actually a mistranslated, it doesn't translate right, it actually means this, but there's no authority, right? So what happens is you're constantly having these splits due to the different ideology from the interpretation of Scripture. It just leads into chaos, in my opinion. It's such a severed, broken thing that it didn't click with me. It started crumbling beneath my feet. And so I turned to Catholicism and I started learning more about that. I attended a few masses. I started going through the process of going into the RCIA, the OCIA. I think it depends. Basically, the apprenticeship, the school, if you will, learning about Catholicism, the history of it, and then leading up to the sacrament of baptism. Then came the day I'm randomly scrolling YouTube and a short pops up on my feed, and who else is it but Father Josiah, man. There really is something about the Orthodox priests that you see. There's so much conviction in their words, but it's not antagonistic how they speak, but the way they do, they speak in a way that demands respect in of itself, but in a very humble way at the same time. It's difficult to explain, but after I saw that the Father Josiah clip, I was like, okay, orthodoxy, huh? Well, let's look a little into it. Like many, I was confused about it. You over here, at least in the north, we have Greek Orthodoxy, Russian Orthodoxy, Coptic Orthodoxy. I'm like, well, I'm not Greek and I'm not Russian. I don't even know what Coptic means. So I was it was a little discerning, like, oh, are they even gonna speak in English? Like, is this gonna be all in Greek? What's going on? So that part really held me back for a very long time, and that was simply my ignorance of not understanding what orthodoxy really is. So I started looking into it a little bit further. I was still attending mass. I did not end up going to the RCIA. I didn't want to start committing to something until I was absolutely sure that this is the way I wanted to go down. And if my heart was not truly believing that this is the way, the road with Christ, then it wasn't something I wanted to do. So while I still attended mass, I did not end up going to the RCIA, the Catholic school thing, if you will. I started learning more about orthodoxy. I started seeing some debates. I started researching both theologies. I started looking into the history of the Great Schism. And at the end of it all, I started siding a little bit more with orthodoxy. Simply the filioque and then the papal authority of the Pope didn't make much sense to me. While orthodoxy still has that authority, it is not a universal authoritarian system. If there's probably a better word for it, but it's slipping my mind, right? So the day came. I decided, you know what? Even if it's all in Greek, I have to try. I went to the Protestantism churches. I've attended the Catholicism mass. I have to go to a divine liturgy. Sorry, my mouth is dry. So I did. I went to a Greek Orthodox church that it's about 10-15 minutes from me. Luckily, it's pretty close. Of course, Orthodoxy is on the lower end of popularity, at least in America. So there are only a few. You can, when it comes to Protestantism, I can go to 7 different churches. Catholicism, there is at least 5 or 6 within like a 10-mile radius of me. But Orthodoxy, I have one at least close to me, and then the next one is about 40 minutes away, so I was a little lucky in that regard. When I stepped into that church for the first time, man, it was a different experience, Thinking back to how the worship was, in the Baptist church, to going to an Orthodox church and how they worship, it was incredible. It was absolutely beautiful stepping in, and I knew right then and there that this was the way. And it comes to a point where I feel for my Protestant brothers and sisters. I have a better understanding on why they are so quick to things like this as idolatry, to cast it out. It's because, in my opinion, I don't think they don't worship Christ like the Orthodox. It is, when you attend a divine liturgy, it is worship. It is incredible. And it is demanding, and there's such a solid community around it. Everyone was so welcoming, They have what is called the coffee hour, where after the service, you go into the little, the cafeteria, and you socialize for about an hour, and then they have class after that. A little, not so much of a Bible study, but the priest comes in, you can ask him any questions as a little group setting. It's amazing, This is the thing. You have Orthos from 9 a.m., then the Divine Liturgy, you have the coffee hour, and then class. So this is something that goes from 9 a.m. to about, depending on how many questions you have in class, 1 to 1:30. It is, and you are on your feet. Something else I greatly admire about the Orthodox faith. I mean, there are so many things that I can get into, but this video would just be too long. They worship on their feet. You are standing for those, 2 to 3 hours that the service is. There's very little sitting. You get little breaks here and there where you sit just for long enough, and then they're like, all right, back up on your feet. We're going again. It's such an incredible thing. After that time that I had found my church, and this is where Christ wanted me to be. And while I don't have enough words to lay a foundation of a conviction that Orthodoxy is the true path, I fully feel it in my heart, and I continue to learn more and research more to lay that foundation itself. Now we are pretty much, where we are today. I've attended four liturgies now. I've now become a catechumen of the Greek Orthodox Church, and I just can't wait to learn more about the saints, continue on with my scripture, learn more about the history of the church, to finally be able to receive the sacrament of being chrismated and baptized, to then be able to participate in communion. This is something that I so deeply long for, and I can't wait as I continue this path. Things continue to look up, and although the world is so dark, there's light still, and I'll continue that path where the light is. I end this video by saying, while I believe that Orthodoxy is the way, this is in no way to discredit and villainize the other denominations that there are. We differentiate on the theology of it. They all serve a purpose. If Protestantism wasn't there, I don't know if I would have gone into Orthodoxy, because diving in headfirst to Orthodoxy, if you become just understanding Christ and then they throw you in divine liturgy, it is a lot. So having that, dipping your toes in, if you will, this sounds so condescending, and I don't mean it to sound like that, but being able to get comfortable into church, to then go to that, I think was a very important part of my personal journey. So I wish no hate. I love all of my Catholic brothers and my Protestant brothers and sisters both. I don't want this to be a video saying that Orthodoxy is the only way and all the other ones are completely wrong, because I don't believe that is the case fully. So here we are, and now here we are in today. We started this YouTube channel simply because I wanted to document my journey with Christ. I felt such a calling to put these words and commemorate them and have a memorial of them. And as someone that's been doing YouTube for 7 years on my other channel, I couldn't think of a better way than to take this video and continue YouTube in a different direction with faith rather than with the animals. I love that. And truly, if you got through 3 parts, this is probably an hour of me rambling. I truly thank you for taking part in listening to the journey I have. I hope you find some solace in it. I hope you can relate to some of my stuff. And of course, if any of you all are struggling, always feel free to reach out. I don't know everything. I don't know very much, but I am always happy to share what I do know with you. As always, thank you for taking the time to follow this on my journey. Until the next time I make one of these videos, God bless.